those generous funds that you have graciously given. Well, let me tell you a little bit about our foundation. You know, Rotary is a large organization. We have 1.2 million members, 34,644 clubs. And yes, we contributed last year $118.42 million to our Rotary Foundation to do good in the world. Your district is certainly a leader. You have gone beyond what many other districts have ever done, and you heard a little bit about that tonight. Our goal is not $100 per member. Our goal is that every Rotarian contributes something of what they personally feel they can do. And I think we made a big mistake a few years ago when we said we want $100 per member. Some people can give more than $100, so why shouldn't we? Some people can't give $100, but why shouldn't they give something to our Rotary Foundation? And that's what we're all about. What we're all about is having everybody be a participant in this great organization of ours. And what better way to do it than through our Rotary Foundation? Our goal for the permanent fund, $1 billion by 2017. So far, our assets are $815 million. You have 1,824 benefactors in this district. Now, I don't want all of you to line up out in front of the car. You know, that's money you won't miss. As Judy and I told our children, we are spending your inheritance. Don't know how you're going to do it, but we know it's going to go for good in the world. That's what our endowment is trying to do. That's what you've done by having these 1,824 benefactors. What about all of the work that we do with our peace centers? You know, we're fundraising drive for our peace centers. We've got a goal of $125 million by June the 30th of 2017. You are a peace building district. You've been a peace builder district ever since the program started. So here again, you're a leader in what we're trying to accomplish by creating peace, goodwill, and understanding throughout the world. Well, what else are we doing? You know that you've spent over $1.3 billion to conquer polio, and we are this close. And I'll talk a little bit about more polio because that happens to be a great passion of mine. It's a passion because we have the means to do it, we have the will to do it, and with our partners, we have the methods to do it. We're a large organization. Our foundation has assets of over $952 million. That's the money side. But what about protecting your assets? And I think that's one of the things that the foundation is very good at. Stewardship. Because if you're giving money to an organization, don't you want to know that that money is being spent wisely, effectively, and efficiently? And our stewardship program does that. It can guarantee you that your dollars are being spent for the purpose for which you intended them to be spent for. We can guarantee you that if we find people that are not doing their grants properly, that we will go after that money and make them pay it back. We find that if people are not doing what they're supposed to do, then they can actually, their club can be discarded from Rotary International. And I think that's the stewardship that you want. I think that's what you want for us to guarantee your funds. But let me talk about polio a minute. Matter of to be more than that. Because I think that it's important, each and every one of us in this room, that there is no longer any crippled children or any child that dies anywhere when we have the means and the methods to stop that. We know that when this program started in 1979 in the Philippines. We know it started with a dream by Clem Renoff because he read that smallpox had been eradicated from the world. And he called one of his district governors, who happened to be a man by the name of John Sever, who was a doctor. John Sever still serves on the International Polio Plus Committee today because of his dedication to what we're trying to accomplish with polio. We know that he worked with a $760,000 grant from the Rotary Foundation. 6 million children in the Philippines were protected from polio. We also know that in 1985 that Rotary set a goal of $120 million because there was 120 million children in the world under the age of 5 at that time. And we know that we raised $247 million. How many of you were Rotarians in 1985? Please stand up. All of you that were Rotarians in 1985. Let's give them a round of applause. They had the vision. These Rotarians had the vision, the dream, the willingness, the tenacity, the perseverance to say we can eradicate polio from the face of the world. We know they raised $247 million. We know that that was not enough. And we know that in 2003 and 2005 we took on another challenge to raise $85 million, and we raised $135 million. Then we know in 2007. In 2007, the world's richest man, a man that has more money than all but 8 countries in the world, in November of 2007, wired $100 million to the Rotary Foundation. 2 stipulations to that $100 million. Number 1, we had to spend that $100 million for the eradication of polio by December the 31st of 2008. Number 2, we had to raise $100 million by December the 31st of 2012. You tell me what country, what individual would have so much confidence in each and every one of you and me sitting in this room that says, I'm going to give you this money. You don't even have a chairman yet. You don't have a committee yet. But I trust you. I trust you because if Rotarians give their word, then Rotarians will in fact live up to that word. If you promise me you'll do it, I know you'll do it. We'd raised that half. I didn't become chairman until January. We'd already started spending his money. We raised about half. And he said, I'll give you 255 more million if you'll raise now another 100. Now what would you have said? You said we'd do it, right? Well, we did. And you heard a few minutes ago, we in fact did do that. But it's not just the money. It's where we started with those 350,000 cases. So where are we today? Well, as of November the 1st, we had 257 cases globally, and 238 cases was in the 3 endemic countries. Afghanistan now has 12 cases compared to 14 at the same time last year. Nigeria is down to 6 cases versus 53 at this time last year, and we honestly believe that we can have Nigeria polio-free by the end of this year. But Pakistan India has not had a case since January 13th of 2011. And on March the 27th, the whole Southeast Asia region was declared polio-free. What a fantastic celebration that was. You have some individuals in this audience that have participated in the NIDs. One of them was there the week that they had the government celebration in India for a polio-free India. And I'd like to ask those people that have taken time to participate in NIDs to please stand. Thank you very much. Because you see, it's not just the money. And as was mentioned a few minutes ago, it's the blood, sweat, and tears of going out there and having that opportunity. Judy and I have had that opportunity. And I would encourage any of you that could take the time to go take the opportunity to put those 2 little precious drops into a child's mouth. I'll never forget going to Nigeria and seeing the filth, the dirty water, people swimming in the water, people drinking out of the water, people washing their clothes out of that same water, and the cattle drinking out of that same water and whatever else they did. But you see, even with all of that, the mothers still brought their children. They still brought their children to receive those 2 precious drops of vaccine. Yes, Rotary has made a difference in those people's lives. In India, just recently, go up the door, shacks, garbage thrown out on the street, filth everywhere. And in my opinion, the poorest of the poor in America are multi-millionaires to what I've seen in some of these other countries. Healthcare worker knocked on the door. The mother came to the door carrying a small child. They placed the drops in this small child's mouth. Looked in the room, excuse me, and there was a crawler on the floor where a healthcare worker said, "It's a boy or girl?" Says it's a boy. "What is your son's name?" "He has no name. He has polio, and he is useless." That's why we need the Rotary Foundation. No mother should ever say, "My child is useless," because we have that ability, we have the opportunity to make that difference through the heart of Rotary, our Rotary Foundation. You see, these victims of polio are burdens to their families, even if they were to survive. We know we have people that we all know that have had polio. We know some people have fared better than others. But we can also all remember when it was not popular to go to the swimming pools in the summertime because of fear that we may catch polio. Our Rotary Foundation, you and I, are doing something about that. Well, we're not there. But in May of 2013, the world's ministers of health gathered in Geneva and endorsed a brand new plan called the Polio Eradication and Endgame Strategic Plan. It was developed by our partners, WHO, CDC, UNICEF, the Gates Foundation, and Rotary International. That plan predicts that we can, in fact, eradicate polio by December 31st, 2018. We are that close. The cost of this plan, which originally started in 1985 at $120 million, Rotarians have already spent over $1.3 billion, plus all the time that's been spent. So just think about how much dollars has really been spent. The cost for the new plan is $5.5 billion. Bill Gates is putting up $1.8 billion of that. And at that summit, there was $4 billion that was pledged. Because of people's efforts in this room, we have in fact been able to encourage the United States government this past year to put an additional $205 million toward the goal of eradication. We just elected a new Congress. We think we're going to get a continuing resolution for another $205 million for this coming year. And it's because of the advocacy, it's the work that's being done by Rotarians, talking to the congressmen, congress ladies, as we continue that quest. Well, we've got a bump in the road, and that bump in the road happens to be in Pakistan. Pakistan has had an increase in the number of cases. We are going to get there with Pakistan. And I will read you something that was said. As a matter of fact, I got it this morning, and I asked Patrick to print this out for me. Because Pakistan has been a problem. We have an organization that's called the Polio Oversight Board, which the heads of the organizations and I sit on. We've written letters to Pakistan because Pakistan has shown a lack of leadership within their government, within their health ministers. So we thought it was time to take some drastic stands. So we've all signed this letter to Pakistan and said, you know, you're an embarrassment to the world. Now, we said it a little bit kinder than that, but not much. We've had 67 healthcare workers killed in Pakistan trying to save Pakistani children. What are you doing about it? So, as of this morning, they're trying to do something about it. Prime Minister Sharif said on Wednesday, which was yesterday, that Pakistan will be polio-free in 6 months. And we're trying to hold him to that. He's also said, and I'd like to quote, that he warned that any negligence would be considered as a crime against our future generations. He directed that all chief ministers make polio eradication a top national priority and ensure quality campaigns under foolproof security arrangements. He also announced to set up a cabinet committee for the eradication of polio virus. And I quote, "As the country's prime minister, I hold every child dear, and like my own, and cannot see them suffering from lifelong disability." End quote, while he chaired a meeting of the National Polio Task Force in order to have polio eradication. So you see, I think Pakistan is on board now, and I think that we have our goal in sight that we can do. Your district, during the first campaign, $465,780.15, and I thank you for that. But no good deed goes unpunished. We now have a 5-year campaign with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that says that if we do $35 million per year, they'll give us $70 million. Chris Elias told me, he said, I've never seen anybody negotiate a 2-to-1 deal with Gates Foundation before. But that's the confidence that they trust that they've got in Rotary. In our first 2013, you gave we raised $36 million. You gave $97,200. This past October, we committed another $35 million. So we'll get our second $70 million from Gates this coming January, and you provided $95,172 for that. The United Arab Emirates is helping us with Pakistan. So again, I think that we are this close to eradicating polio. But that's not all that the foundation is involved in. You know, we have a new motto, new mission statement. I'd like to read it to you. The mission of the Rotary Foundation is to enable Rotarians to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through the improvement of health, the support of education, and the alleviation of poverty. So we're focusing on 6 areas. And I've often been asked, what is going to be our next corporate project? And I will tell you, I don't know that there will be another corporate project. Do we have the tenacity to stay with the program for 38 years? I don't know that. Only you can help decide that. But there are 6 areas of focus, and I think that this is where Rotary is really going to make an impact through our Rotary Foundation. Peace and conflict prevention and resolution, disease prevention and treatment, water and sanitation, maternal and child health, basic education and literacy, economic and community development. And I defy anyone here to find any project that you can dream about that will not fit in one of those 6 areas of focus. So let us think about all the things that are needed and how that we can accomplish creating better lives in the world through one of those 6 areas of focus. Access to clean water is a lot of people's mind. You know, there's 2.6 billion people in the world that lack access to clean water and proper sanitation. I'm going to do a test right now. I want every one of you to shut your eyes. And I can see some of you, so I know what you do or not. I want you to quietly count to 8. Another child just died. Another child just died for a lack of clean water and proper sanitation. What if that was our child? What if that was our grandchild? Wouldn't we want to do everything we can to be sure that does not happen? Do we not owe that same thing to our fellow people around the world? I think we do. And I know that you're working on projects for ceramic wells and stuff that will help solve that problem. 2.2 billion children will die of diarrhea-related diseases this year. 2.2 billion. There's 1 billion people that live for less than $1 a day. Those healthcare workers that got killed, $2.50 for a 12-hour day. $2.50. Pakistan, a 21-year-old lady got killed. Her sister said, "Can I take her place? I want to continue the work that she started with polio eradication." Dedication, commitment, yes, it's there. But our Rotary Foundation, the heart of Rotary, is helping us to solve those problems. Bill Gates Sr. once said, when he was summing up the work of Rotary, and this was in Utah at the convention in Salt Lake City, and I quote, "Back when Rotary became involved with polio, most people thought volunteer organizations were about tackling projects down the street or across town, not across the world. Rotary changed all that, and in the process, you reminded us that there is no human problem so daunting that it cannot be overcome by people. You and your fellow Rotarians are changing lives in the world through our foundation by providing a basic education literacy scholarship to Leticia Jones, helping to provide critical medical equipment for St. Anne's Bay Hospital in Jamaica, installation and maintenance of sanitary toilets for 2 girls' schools in India, providing assistance to the Threads of Hope, empowering women and strengthening families in Ethiopia, and saving lives of mothers and children in northern Uganda through mobile outreach, or developing a locally owned and operated ceramic water filter facility in Limpopo province in South Africa. That's in addition to all the work that you're doing in your own communities to make lives better through our Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation is the heart of Rotary. It provides endless opportunities for Rotarians to do good in the world, to provide service above self, to make the world a better place for future generations. Yes, your Rotary Foundation is the heart of Rotary, and each of you are the heart of the foundation. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for what you're doing. But more importantly, thank you for what you're going to do to make our world a better place to live. Thank you.
John, thank you so much. Those of you who have heard me speak this year know that I've talked an awful lot about family of Rotary. And I define that as combining those people we care about with those things we're passionate about at Rotary. John, I'm very pleased to consider you and Judy part of District 7690's family of Rotary. And we thank you so much for being here. I will share with all of you that we're making a substantial contribution to the polio effort, to thank John and Judy for being with us this week. And I'm going to ask John now to handle one more special presentation.
It's not often that you have the opportunity to do what I'm going to do tonight. We have an individual that is with us tonight, Dennis Height and Nancy Simonte. They're sitting right here. They moved to level 2 major donors 2 years ago, level 4 2 years ago with a major gift of polio. They now have become members of the Arch Clump Society. Arch Clump Society members are people that have given $250,000 or more to the Rotary Foundation. People that have reached deep into their heart, that believe truly, as I said, that the Rotary Foundation is the heart of Rotary. They sold their house. They took part of those proceeds and gave it to our Rotary Foundation because they wanted to see their money to do good in the world. So it's my honor to present to them tonight the Arch Clump Society pin, certificate, and crystal. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We thank you for caring enough. We thank you for believing, and believing that the foundation is the best place, the best charity to leave your money to. So if you would join me, we'd be happy to present you with your crystal at this particular time. However, we also have a necklace for you. But we don't think Dennis is look good wearing that.
Why? You kept me out of the Army for 5 years.
Here's your crystal with 2 doves, a sign of peace. Love, peace, world understanding. And we will be better off because of you.
Thank you very much.
John, thank you so much for your remarks. And Dennis and Nancy, thank you for your incredible generosity. You set a high bar for the rest of us. Thank you very much. I want to share with you that World Polio Week was 2 weeks ago, the week of October 20th. Dennis and Nancy's gift was finalized that week, which included a $50,000 contribution to the Polio Plus Fund. An incredibly generous gift. I also want to mention that our Sandler training fundraiser was held in this very building and raised $17,000 that week. Our district transferred $20,000 of our designated funds that week. And there were many club fundraisers across the district to celebrate World Polio Week. Even our interactors got in the game. It raised about $1,000 for Purple Pinky projects around the district. And they've committed to raise $5,000 as interactors this year. I love that. So that 1 week, we raised about $90,000 toward our $150,000 district goal. Tonight, you will notice on your tables a blue wire basket, and if you are so moved, we will be happy for you to contribute and promise that that money will be directed toward the polio effort. I want to thank Cookie Billings, there's Cookie Billings, for an amazing banquet that you organized tonight, despite all the things you said about it. Cookie kept saying to me, is there any detail that you're worried about? I said, no, Cookie, you're in charge. I know that I don't have anything to worry about. You even picked my favorite dessert. Thank you. Even though Margaret Patton's not here, I want to thank Margaret for all the work she did behind the scenes to make this happen. I watched her divvying out all of those name badges and getting them all organized. John and Judy, thank you for being with us. We know you are an incredible demand worldwide. We're honored that you're here. And I will tell you that 14 months ago, Mike Conrad and I went to a particular Rotary event planning to ask someone else to be our speaker this evening. We met the Germs and heard John speak at that occasion, and we looked at each other and said, we need some of that in District 7690. We're very pleased that you are with us. Thank you very much to both of you. I want to give a quick reminder. I'm not sure if you said this before or not, but for those of you who are 100% sustaining or E-Ray clubs, you can stop by the registration desk, which is desk 6, where you saw the advocates giving out name tags earlier. You can stop by and pick up your banner there. So please do that. The last thing I want to say is thank you to all of you. You don't get to be a 100% Paul Harris Fellow District without everybody participating. All of you are making a difference. All of you are lighting up Rotary. Thank you very much for what you do, what you have done, and what I know you will continue to do for the Rotary Foundation. Thank you for lighting up Rotary. Good night.
We're so happy you could come. Me too. What a night.